Hi guys, good night. Just let me know if you all can hear me before I begin. All right, great. So I know a lot of you all are here because we have maths exam tomorrow, right? That's paper 1 and paper 2, right? So I'm going to be just going through some of the topics this evening here. I did some previously, right? So let's start, right? Now, one of the things that you all are expected to get in the exam, right, has to do with statistics, and that involves both grouped and both ungrouped data, right? Now, let's look at this question here. So Sandra completed 10 physics quizzes in the month of May 2022, and the scores was follows, right? So you have some scores here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 scores here, and we want to determine what is the mode, or what is the modal score, right? Based on the data here, guys, can you tell me what the mode is? Right, so I've seen people telling me the answer is 8. I tend to agree with 8 as well, because if you look carefully, we have 8 here, we have 8 here, and we have 8 here, right? So 8 appears 3 times in these sets of scores, right? So your mode is the one that occurs most frequently, right? So the answer for part A is 8. That's correct. The next part, we want to know what is the median, right? I want to know what is the median. Can you all look at the data and tell me what is the median? All right, seen some people saying 7.5. Okay, I've seen all different answers, right? So let's see what we're gonna do here. So with that data, right, the first thing that we need to do, so let me just put that data so whenever you are given a string of raw data, what we need to do is to arrange this data in ascending order, right? So we start to rearrange the data. I'm going to write 5, then I'm seeing another 5, right? So this is gone, this is gone, and this is something that you should always do as well. Cross out the data that you've already used. The next thing we have here, we have a 6. So this is gone. After the 6, we have 7 appearing twice. So we have 7, 7. So we have a 7 here, and we have a 7 here. Next thing we have 8, 8, 8. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3 8s. So cross this out. And then we have 9 and 10, right? So we have 9, and then we have 10. Now, we have a string of numbers here, and we have a total of 10 numbers or 10 scores, right? Now, let me show you something here one time. We want to figure out what is the median. Now, with a question like this, you have an even number of data points. You have 10. So there's no exact middle, right? There's no exact middle in this scenario here. But half of 10 is 5. right? So that means my median should lie between my 5th and my 6th score, right? So what you would do when you don't have a middle, just draw a line at the middle of your data here, right? So if you look carefully, you have 5 scores on this side, and you also have 5 scores on this side. Now you want to get a median score. So the median must lie somewhere between 7 and 8. So your median is simply going to be equal to 7 plus 8. You have to add both of them and divide by 2. So your median is 7.5, right? So I saw lots of people said it's 7.5. That's what it is, right? So that's your median, right? So that is part C, and this here, sorry, that's part B, so that's 7.5, right? The next thing we want to find, part C, we want to find what is my mean. Now, mean, right? So some of you all may know this terminology. Mean can be written as x bar, and that's equal to sigma x divided by n. Now, don't let the sigma confuse you. This symbol here in maths, right, means, this is called sigma, and it means to sum something or to add up something, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to add up all our numbers. So you're going to add up 7 plus 5 plus this, and then you're going to divide by 10, right? Because you have 10 scores. So you're going to add up all of those numbers and divide by 10. So just add it up for me so I can double check my answer. 7 plus 5 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 8 plus 8 plus 10 plus 9 plus 8. All right, so I've seen a lot of people getting the mean as 73. I'm getting that same thing as well, right? I'm getting that same thing. So when I add up the numbers, I am getting a total of 73, and that gives me a mean of being 7.3. So this answer here is 7.3, right? That's my mean. The next thing here is to find the range. Now, the range is simply the difference between the highest and the lowest data point, right? That's what the range is. So if you want to get the range here, I already have the numbers set up in ascending order. So my smallest or my lowest score is 5, and the largest score is 10. So therefore your range has to be 10 minus 5. It's the difference between the highest and the lowest data point. So your range is going to be 10 minus 5, and that's going to give you 5. That's what your range is, right? So your range is simply the difference between the highest and the lowest. Now, the next thing here, we want to figure out the lower quartile. Now, whenever they ask you questions about lower quartile and upper quartile, what we need to do, we must arrange the data in ascending order again, right? Now, your median, right, is what we call Q2. So let me just give you some terminology here. So Q1 is called my lower quartile, right? Q2 is my median, and Q3 is my upper quartile. Now I am looking at ungrouped data. This data here is ungrouped data, right? Now I already know that I have 10 scores, right? So to figure out what is my lower quartile, it's simply going to be the middle of this set of numbers here. Now you have 5 numbers there, so your middle number is going to be 6. So therefore your Q1 or your lower quartile is going to be 6, right? On the upper half now, you have 5 numbers again. That's an odd number. So therefore there's an exact middle. So that 8 there actually represents my upper quartile. So this number here is your Q1, and this number here is your Q2, right? Sorry, not Q2, Q3, right? So therefore my Q3 is going to be equal to 8. So in the question where I have your lower quartile, so your lower quartile, which is Q1, is actually equal to what I said, 6. So Q1 is 6, and the upper quartile, that's your Q3, is equal to 8, right? According to the data, my upper quartile here is actually equal to 8, right? So from a string of data, we have to be able to calculate what is the upper quartile and what is the lower quartile, right? Right, so that's the answer for part E, part F. The next thing they want is what is my interquartile range. So you all need to know this formula for the exam. Your interquartile range is simply your upper quartile minus your lower quartile. So all we're going to do here, we're going to take 8 minus 6, and you're going to get 2. So 2 is my interquartile range. So this word here, right? So you might see that in the exam, interquartile range. Right? So that's going to be 8 minus 6. So please, you need to know that formula for your exam. That's G. That's part G. Right? And then part H, the last part, they want to know what is the semi-interquartile range. So semi-interquartile, semi means half. So semi-interquartile range, all I need to do, so semi-interquartile range is simply a half of your Q3 minus Q1. That's all. Nothing fancy. It's going to be a half multiplied by the answer you just got, which is 2. So half by 2, you're going to get 1. So your semi-interquartile range is going to be equal to 1. Right? According to the broad topics, they said we can get grouped or ungrouped data. So these are things we need to know about, right? Right, so for those of you who have not hit like or subscribe, please do that now. Right, it's going to take you less than 10 seconds to hit like and subscribe. Please do that for me now. Right. Okay, so that takes care of a question using raw data. Right, it's ungrouped, and we are looking to find different information concerning the data. Right. Now let's look at some group data now. So a machine produces glass marbles. The mass of 100 marbles produced in a batch is measured. The mass to the nearest gram is recorded in the table below. Now, they said that they may bring something on cumulative frequency, right? So this question is based on a combination of things here. So we have some data. We have our mass in grams, right? And all of these here, we have some class intervals, and we have our number of marbles. I want you to understand that the number of marbles here can be thought of as my frequency, right? This is how many marbles I have here. Now, so the class interval 31 to 40, I have 4 marbles. Class interval 41 to 50, I have 2 marbles, and so on. Now, let's see what I want you to work out here. So, for the class interval 41 to 50, that's this class interval here, right? The first question here is, what is my lower class limit? I'm curious to see what you all say for the answer for that. What is my lower class limit? Right, I am seeing lots of people telling me 41. I'm also seeing, all right, so I'm seeing 2 different answers. Let me tell you what the correct answer is, right? Let me tell you what the correct answer is. So we have the lower class limit, right? So I'm going to write down the answers so you can see what they are. So your lower class limit here, your interval is 41 to 50. Your lower class limit is simply 41. I've seen some of you all telling me about 0.5 and that kind of thing. Your lower class limit is simply 41. That's the answer, right? CXC loves to bring these things. So make sure we understand that. right? That's my lower class limit. The answer is 41. What about part 2? What is the upper class boundary? What is the upper class boundary? Alright, so I'm seeing a lot of people give me the correct answer. So you have to watch out for the words carefully. They said upper class boundary. Now, the upper class boundary, right, is going to be 50.5. Your lower class boundary is 40.5. Don't mix that up in the exam. So the upper class boundary in this case here is going to be 50.5. That's what it's going to be, right? That's my upper class boundary. So make sure you understand the difference between class limit and class boundary. The class limit is what you actually see in the table, and your class boundaries, you have to either add 0.5 or subtract 0.5, right? That's what my class limits are, and class boundary. The next thing now, this is the next one that students get wrong. What is my class width? What is my class width? This is another question that students tend to get wrong. Right? But I'm seeing the majority of students saying the correct answer. I've seen some people saying 10, some people saying 9. So let's see which one is the correct answer. So the mistake that students normally take, they will say take 50 and subtract 41. That's incorrect. Your class width, this is your formula for class width, guys. So don't get this wrong tomorrow if it comes. Class width is your upper class boundary minus your lower class boundary. This is one of those mistakes that students generally make in the exam. So what we're going to do, we're going to say 50.5 minus 40.5. You are subtracting your class boundaries, not your class limits. In this case here, I'm going to get 10. So the answer is 10, right? Not 9, it is 10. Right? So the answer is 10. Be careful of that. The next thing here, they want to know what is the class midpoint, right? What is the class midpoint? What's the answer for part 4? Alright, so I'm seeing some of my students who are in my Form 5 lessons class. Good night, guys. Alright, that's what Brianna. Alright, there's so many names I can't even check it properly. Right, so I'm seeing, alright, so the midpoint, I'm seeing everybody saying 45.5. So class midpoint, you can get away with that one easily. So your class midpoint, right, is simply, we can take the class limits and just add them and divide by 2. So you can say 41 plus 50 and divide by 2. You could even use the class boundaries and you'll get the same answer, right? So 41 plus 50 divided by 2 and you're going to get 45.5. So your midpoint is going to be 45.5. That's the answer for this part here, right? And this is something that CXC likes to bring. Even part B is something that CXC also likes to bring. So Shamid states that the median mass is found in the class interval 51 to 60. Explain whether he is correct or not, right? Now let me do this on a separate page here so we understand this. So Shamid states that the median mass is found in the class interval 51 to 60. Now we have group data here and we're trying to look at the data to determine if he is correct or not, right? Now to do that, remember the total number of marbles, we have 100 marbles, right? So if you want to find your median, so remember to find median or your middle, what we normally do, we'll have to find half the total number of your data, which in this case is going to be a half multiplied by 50, right? And you're going to get 25, right? Now here's the thing. If we were to take all this data here, and we were to write them out, right? What you're going to end up with, you're going to have a string of masses starting from your first marble to your 100th marble, right? So your first marble to your 100th marble. Now 100 is an even number. So if I want to get a median, right, I need to locate where is my 50th marble, what is the mass of my 50th marble, and what is the mass of my 51st marble, right? So I want you to understand this logic here. You have 100 marbles, so therefore there's no exact middle, right? That's an even number. So therefore you're going to have one from marble 1 to marble 50, and then you have marble 51 to 100. You want to get a median. The median is going to lie somewhere between your 50th and your 51st marble. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to keep checking to see where is the location of the 50th and the 51st marble. Now, that's a total of 6 marble there, right? If we add 28 more, right? So that's 34. So up to this point we have 34. And if we go up to this point here, we have 34 plus 57, right? So up to this point here, we've reached 91 marbles already, right? So we're trying to locate where is the 50th and where is the 51st. Clearly, those two masses will lie in this interval here, right? So therefore, Shamid states that the median mass is found in a class interval 51 to 60. He cannot be correct. Based on our interpretation, we can see that the 50th and the 51st marble is actually found in this class interval. So he's wrong, right? So he is wrong, right? The median, right, is found in the interval 61 to 70 grams, right? And this is our logic here, you know. One second, I wrote something wrong just now here. Hold on, I'm not seeing that there. Right, it's half of n, but n was 100. Sorry about that. Right, it's 100 marbles we have. So it's, right? So midway is around 50. But because it's an even number, I need to find the 50th and the 51st, right? So he's wrong. The median is actually found in the interval 61 to 70. Now here's the thing, within the last 3 years or so, CXC has brought this question several times, several times. Right, I'm just watching the chat here to see what you're all saying. All right, so let me just do this one more time, in case it comes tomorrow, because there's a high likelihood that you could see it, right? So here's what we're gonna do. You know that you have 100 marbles, right? We have 100 marbles. So the half of 100 is 50, right? So because we have an even number, you have 1 to 100 marbles, right? You're not gonna find an exact middle. So I need to find my 50th and my 51st marble. I need to know the masses of those two things. But the thing is, I don't know exactly where these masses or where they are located. But I have groupings. So from 31 to 40, I have 4 marbles. When I go up to 41 to 50, I have 6 marbles now. So I've accounted for 6 marbles. When I add 28 more, so that's 28 plus 6, that's 34. So up to this point here, I've accounted for 34 marbles, right? So therefore, remember your median has to be your 50th or your 51st marble, somewhere between there. But the thing is, we only have 34 marbles here up to this point. And Shamid is saying here what the median is between 51 and 60. There's no way that can be true, right? So the 50th and the 51st must lie when we reach here, right? So it has to be between 61 and 70. Right, so some of you all still asking why I'm using 51 and why I'm using 50 and 51. It has to do with the fact that there's no exact middle. 100 is an even number. So I can't say that the median is 50. That's not true, right? The median is between 50 and 51, right? When you guys are working out median, it matters whether you have an even data set or you have an odd data set. That's important. Right? So I'm going to move on because I have several things I want to go through, right? Now, what could be asked, and they said in the broad topics that you may get a cumulative frequency something, right? So I have the same data here. I have mass, I have number of marbles, and I want to complete this table. I want to figure out what is my cumulative frequency. Now, this is very easy to fill out. So in this first interval here, right, I only have 4 marbles, so my cumulative frequency is going to be 4. When I jump to the next interval here, I am adding up these two, right? So you're going to say whatever your previous cumulative frequency was, plus your current frequency, which in this case is 2. So your cumulative frequency is going to be 6, right? When I jump to this interval here, 51 to 60, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add, I'm going to take the 6 that I had previously, and I'm going to add 28 to this. Right? So this is going to give me a total of 34. For this interval now, right, I'm going to take my cumulative frequency so far, which is 34, and I'm going to add 57. When I add that, 7 and 3, 10 and 1, 11, 5 and 3, 8, so I'm getting 91, right? And then when I reach this interval here, I'm going to say 91 plus 7, and I'm going to get 98. And in the last interval, right, I have to add 2 more. So this is going to be 98 plus 2, and that's going to give me 100. So these values here, this 6, this 34, 91, 98, 100, that's my cumulative frequency, right? That is what is required if I have to draw a cumulative frequency curve. Alright, so lots of people asking me about chem and phys. I am not sure if I'll have the time, but I'll see. Now, one of the things with respect to the cumulative frequency table, you must know if you made a mistake. If when you work out this last one here, if it doesn't add up to whatever data we're looking at, we know we had 100 marbles. If you worked out your cumulative frequency and it was not that, then we have a problem. Something was wrong in your adding, right? So make sure you know how to do this. They said this might come, right? All right, so let's see what else they want, right? So this part here now, we want to draw a cumulative frequency curve using the data that we have. All right, that's what we want to do. Just give me a sec, right? All right. So here's what we're going to do. I need the data, and I'm going to plot the data. Right? Now let me ask you all a question. When you all are drawing the cumulative frequency curve, right, what do you all use? Do you use midpoint when you're plotting? Do you use lower class boundary? Do you use upper class boundary? What do you use when you are plotting a cumulative frequency curve. Yes, this live is being recorded, so don't worry, it's being recorded. Alright, so I'm seeing some people saying midpoint, some people saying upper class boundary. Right, now let me just address something here. Now lots of you all are asking for certain topics like vectors, circle geometry. What I suggest you do, because I have done tons of past papers on my YouTube channel on those topics, right? So if you want to find something on vectors, just do a search and you will find a video on vectors, right? That goes through several different past paper questions. Circle geometry, same thing. I have a lot of information on the website, on the YouTube channel, and they are in playlists, so you should be able to find anything that you want, guys, right? So let's see. Right, so here's what you need to do. When you guys are plotting a cumulative frequency curve, we are using upper class boundary. So please don't make that mistake. It's 40.5, 50.5, 60.5, 70.5. So it's upper class boundary, yeah? So don't make that mistake tomorrow. It's 80.5 and 90.5. So yeah, we are using upper class boundaries in order to plot this thing here. So the first data point that I'm going to plot here is 40.5 against 4. So you go to your graph and you need to make sure you know exactly where 40.5 is, right? So 40.5 against 4 is going to be here, right? That's my first point. The second point is 50.5 against 6. So 50.5 against 6 is going to be this 2, 4, this is 6 here. The next thing is 60.5 against 34. So 60.5 against 32, 34, that's here. The next one is 70.5 against 91. So 70.5 against 91 is somewhere here. Then 80.5 against 98. So 80.5 against 98 is somewhere here. And the last point is 90.5 against 100. So 90.5 against 100 is this. So I plotted all of the points, right? So in the exam, you're going to have to draw a smooth curve through the points. Now let me tell you something one time. There are some students who, they take a ruler and they try to join the points using a ruler. Please do not do that. You're going to lose marks for that, right? What you need to draw is a smooth curve through all these points. Right? So I'm going to draw a smooth curve, right, as best as I can here through these points, right? Now it's hard for me to do this using a digital pen. Right? So that's my cumulative frequency curve. So make sure you understand what I just did. I plotted upper class boundary against my my cumulative frequency. That's what I did, right? Right, somebody's asking a question. When you are drawing your graphs, please use a pencil. If you make a mistake, you can't change it, right? But the entire exam has to be written in pen, right? But your graphs can be drawn in pencil, right? Right, so that's my curve there, right? So you all need to be able to plot. So it's upper class boundary we're using, eh? Upper class boundary. Right, that's what we're plotting here, right? So that's my curve. Now let's see what else we need to figure out. Okay, so when you draw a curve like this, what they can ask you to do is to find certain things from your curve, right? Now I have a fancier curve here, which is the exact same curve really. Right? It's the exact same curve I have here. and I'm going to try to answer some of these questions here. Now, let's talk about something first of all. From a cumulative frequency curve, right, the curve generally looks like this. This here represents the total data that we are referring to. Now, from the curve, I can figure out what my median is. Now, watch carefully here. To find the median, you need to find half your total number of data or the amount of data that you have, and you go to the graph and you read off what is your median. Your median is what we call our Q2. If you want to get your lower quartile, all you need to do is to find a quarter of your data, and you're going to come down here, and that's going to be your lower quartile or Q1. If you want to find your upper quartile, that is 3/4 of your data, so that's 3n/4, and we're going to read off this here, right? And that's going to be your upper quartile, which is Q3. So you need to understand that principle first, right? So on my channel, there is a video specifically referring to a cumulative frequency curve. So if you don't know how to do that, search for that video and have a look at that, right? Right, so let's see. Let's find our lower quartile from the graph. So this is how you all going to do it in the real exam, right? So we need to pay attention to this number here, right? That can be any number. It can be 80, 100, 120. We don't really care what that number is, right? So if you want to get a median, this is what you guys need to do. To get a median, we need to go and read off at half the total number. So you need to read off at 50, what is that value? So this is what you're going to do. You're going to take your ruler, go to the graph, and you're going to draw a line here. When you do that, right, you're going to take your ruler and you're going to draw a vertical line going down to your x-axis here, right? According to my graph, right, according to this graph here, that's 61, 62, that's about 63 grams. So I'm going to tell you your median, right, which is what we call Q2, is equal to 63 grams. That's the answer for that. That's what my median is, right? For part 2, you want the upper quartile. So go to the graph again. Now your upper quartile should correspond to 3/4 of your data. 3/4 of 100 is 75. So what you're going to do, we're going to read off at 75, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read off at 75, right? So then you're going to take your ruler and you're going to draw a next line coming down to your axis here. Right? And I'm getting about 66, right? So my upper quartile or my Q3 is equal to 66 grams, right? So you all need to know how to read these things from a graph, right? You all need to read these things from a graph, right? Right? So the next thing now, so that is my upper quartile. Sorry. Okay, so I kind of work out the median already. Sorry, right? I work out the median already. This is my upper quartile, right? Your lower quartile, right? Or your Q1 is going to be 1/4 of your data. So 1/4 of 100 is actually 25. So I need to read off 25 here. Right? And that's around 59, right? So these are my numbers here, right? 59 grams. So I've worked out the median, I've worked out the upper quartile and the lower quartile. All of those things are being asked in the question. The next thing now, you want to work out the interquartile range. So we just met that. We just met interquartile range. So interquartile range is simply going to be your upper quartile, which is Q3 minus Q1, which is going to be 66 minus 59, right? So that's going to give me what? 66 minus 59, and that's going to give me 7, right? So your interquartile range is going to be 7 grams. That's what it is. So it's your upper quartile minus your lower quartile. That's it. The next thing they want is the semi-interquartile range. So your semi-interquartile range, right, which is SIQR, right, is simply a half multiplied by Q3 minus Q1, right, which is going to be a half multiplied by 7, which is 3.5 grams, right? So that there is my semi-interquartile range, right? Semi-interquartile range. Right, so I want you all to go back through this, right? The video is going to be recorded, so don't worry, it's going to be here, right? It's going to be here, so that's not a problem, right? Now, there are some other things that they can ask you in the exam. So, part 6 of the question says the number of marbles having a mass less than 60 grams. The number of marbles having a mass less than 60 grams. You all feel you can answer that for me? What is the number of marbles having a mass less than 60 grams? Look at the graph. Look at the graph. What is the number of marbles now? I see some of you all saying you never did this, right? Don't be surprised if this comes in the exam tomorrow. Right? They said cumulative frequency. I don't know how they're going to bring it, right? Right? So I'm seeing some of my students in class here, and I'm seeing, yes, you all are giving me the correct answer, right? So the answer has to be 30. It is 30. So here's what the question says. The question says, it says the number of marbles having a mass less than 60 grams, right? So what you have to do, you have to go to 60 here, right? And you're going to read that off from your graph, right? So what we're going to do, let me get a line here and let me use a different color so we could yeah, let's use green this time. Right, so here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to read off at 60, wherever 60 is here, right? You're going to go to the graph, right? And if you look carefully, you realize, wait a minute, that 60 is actually corresponding, right? So therefore, what I'm going to get here, I'm getting 30. So there are 30 marbles that have a mass less than 60 grams. So the answer for this here is 30 marbles, right? That's the answer there, 30 marbles, right? Now let's see what the next part of the question is, right? The next part says the number of marbles having a mass greater than. Now, when it comes to cumulative frequency curves, we have to understand there are two ways they can ask questions. They can ask things about less than and greater than. So look at the graph, right? And I want to know how many marbles have a mass greater than 70. Look at the graph. How many marbles have a mass greater than 70? Let me see if you all can get that one. So some of you all got caught to the question. How many students scored more than, how much it was, 70? Go back here. More than 70. Yeah. How many students scored more than 70 grams? Sorry. How many marbles had a mass greater than 70 grams? How many marbles had a mass greater than 70? You see, when it comes to greater than, you all need to be very careful with those kinds of questions, right? So I've seen some people telling me 10, some people telling me 90, and I've seen some other answers as well, right? So let's see. The answer should be 10, by the way. And here's how I'm doing that. You wanna figure out how many marbles have a mass greater than 70. So we need to read off 70 because mass is here, right? The next thing we're going to do, I'm going to draw a line at 70. So you're going to draw a line here, going up here. You're going to meet the curve. When you meet the curve now, you need to draw a second line. So you're going to come here and you're going to draw this, right? And I'm getting 90. So I could understand if students come and they tell me the answer is 90. I could understand that, right? So 90, I'm getting 90 here. But the question says more than. So what you have to do is to take 100 and subtract 90. So the answer is 10. You have to be careful. That's why I have two questions here. Mass less than and mass greater than. So for this one here, you're going to have to take 90, what you actually got from the graph, and you have to subtract that from 100. So it's going to be 100 minus 90. So the answer is 10, not 90. All right, so let's see. All right, they also said probability is coming. They said probability is coming. So if they give you a question on cumulative frequency curve, you could get probability in the exam. Now this one is relatively easy. So for this part 8 here, they want to know the probability that the mass, so you're selecting a marble. You have 100 marbles here and you're selecting a marble. So you want to select a marble that has a mass less than 60 grams, right? That's the probability we want to work out. So you already worked out in this part here, you worked out that the number of marbles having a mass less than 60 is 30. You got 30 for this answer here. So the probability is simply going to be 30 divided by the total number of marbles that we have, which is 100. So therefore the answer is going to be 3 over 10. Right? This is a common question that CSEC will bring in the exam, right? So just be aware of this. Right? Normally CSEC wants us to write the answer as a fraction. So just keep that there. Right? I'm not too focusing on the histogram part. I want to focus on the mean, because you all need to be able to estimate the mean from a data that is grouped, right? So this is the same data that we have. We have our mass and we have number of marbles. Now, when you have group data, right, the mean or x bar is given by sigma xf all over sigma f. So some of you all watching this and thinking, wow, I've never seen this before, right? To do that, we need to calculate, we need two columns that we need to insert in order for us to calculate the mean. The first one is my midpoint. So for each one of these intervals, we need to work out the midpoint. So 31 plus 40 divided by 2, I'm going to get 35.5. Right? Then the next one, 41 plus 50 divided by 2 is 45.5. Now, you all should realize that there's a pattern. So you don't need to go and work out every single one. So I know my next one here is going to be 55.5. The next one is going to be 65.5. The next one is going to be 75.5. And the last one is going to be 85.5. So those are my midpoints, right? Now, what we need to do is to take the midpoint values and multiply by my frequency. So the first thing we're going to take is 35.5 and multiply by 4. So 35.5 multiplied by 4, and you're going to get 142. right? Then you take 45.5 multiplied by 2, I'm getting 91. 55.5 multiplied by 28 is equal to 1554. Then 65.5 multiplied by 57, and I'm going to get 3,733.5. 75.5 multiplied by 7, you're going to get 528.5. And the last one is 85.5 multiplied by 2, and I'm going to get 171. So pay attention to this. They said we might get mean, right? All right, now what we need to do now. So there are certain pieces of information we need. We need to add up our frequency column. That's everything inside here. We need to add this up. But we already know that we have 100 marbles. So when I add this up, I should get 100. The next thing we need to add up is this XF column here. You need to add up everything in this column here. So you're going to say 142 plus 91 plus 1554 plus 3733.5 plus 528.5 plus 171, and I'm going to get 6220, right? So therefore my mean is going to be 6220 divided by 100, and that's going to give me 62.2 grams. So that's my mean, right? I think in the January 2022 paper, there was a question where they had a table and they asked us to work out the mean from the table, right? So I'm reading somebody chat here. You're all cracking me up, yes? All right, so that's one there, right? So something else that I wanted to look at, right? You all know that you're getting transformations in the exam, right? You're going to get questions pertaining to transformations in the exam, right? So here's what we have here. The diagram shows triangle ABC and its image A prime, B prime, C prime after it has undergone a single transformation. Describe the transformation that maps triangle ABC to triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. See if you all can tell me what kind of transformation is this. Yeah, so I see some people sending reminders. Don't forget to hit like and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. Right? Please do so. Right, so people saying translation. I agree, it's looking like a translation. How do I know that? I know that because the orientation of the triangle has not changed. The size of the triangle has not changed, right? So therefore it has to be a translation. But you are missing one piece of information, right? I think one or two people said it. So if you had to describe this transformation, you're going to say it's a translation, right? Right? And you need to give what the vector is. Now the vector is found like this. Let's choose any one of the points. Let's say B here. And I want to go to B prime, right? That's my image. Now, you're going to give a vector here, and we must always move in the horizontal direction first. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first number that's going to be here is going to be 6. Then we're still trying to get to B prime. You're going to go 1, 2 downwards. Because I'm going downwards, it's going to be -2. So that's my answer. That's your full answer. You have to say it's a translation, and you need to specify what is the translation vector. So some of you all who want help with this, I have several videos on the channel pertaining to all the transformations that we need to know for the exam, right? So the translation vector here is 6 minus 2. Right? Somebody's asking if you can do linear programming. The last live I did, right? I did a full question on linear programming, and I also have a video on linear programming on the YouTube channel as well. Right, so that's my answer for that one here. For this one here now, the diagram shows triangle ABC and it undergoes a translation, right? So you know the translation vector, it is 3, 2, and you want to draw what is the image, A prime, B prime, C prime. What you're going to do for these kinds of questions here, so you can start with any one you want, right? So the vector is 3, 2. Now you have to interpret this vector here. This means 3 units to the right, and this number here means, because it's a positive number, it is 2 units upwards, right? So you have to understand what these numbers mean. So what I'm going to do here, it's 3 units to the right, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3 units here, and then you're going to go 2 units upward, 1, 2. So this here is my B prime. That's B prime. Now I'm going to do the same thing for all the other points on the triangle. So let's do it with C. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 units this way, and then I'm going to go 1, 2 units up here. So this here is going to be C prime. Do the same thing for A. You're going to go 3 units to the right, 1, 2, 3 units to the right, and then I'm going to go 1, 2 units upwards. So that's my, this is going to be A prime. So therefore, all I need to do, I need to join these points, and that's it. So that's how you guys locate your image after a translation, right? Now, you may not necessarily give all of these lines here. I only drawing this to make sure you understand what I'm doing. But the triangle that we're drawing here is just that. That's it, right? Right, let's look at the next question here. I have 2 triangles. The diagram shows triangle ABC and its image A prime, B prime, C prime after it has undergone a single transformation. Describe the transformation that maps triangle ABC to A prime, B prime, C prime. So my question to you is, what is that particular transformation? What are you all going to say for your answer? Right? So lots of people telling me reflection, but you need a little more information, right? Every question in the maths exam, look at the number of marks you get. If they ask you to describe this, chances are they're going to give you 2 marks to do this. So it's a reflection, yes, but you need to give a little extra information here, right? So what we're going to say here, it is a reflection, yes, right? So it's a reflection. Right? It's a reflection, but look at something here. Where am I reflecting it? I am reflecting it in this line here. If I were to take the folder paper and fold it along that line, the triangle on top is going to line up with the one below exactly. So it's a reflection in the x-axis. Right? That's what it is. It's a reflection in the x-axis. And if you all don't know, your x-axis is also the line y is equal to 0. So that's your answer. That's how you describe that transformation as fully as you can. Here's what I want from you all. I have 2 triangles here, right? And the A prime, B prime, C prime, it's a reflection of the triangle on the left. The question is, state the equation of the mirror line. Look at the diagram. What is the equation of the mirror line? Let me see if you all can get this one. So I've seen some people telling me x is equal to 2. Some saying x plus 2. Some people saying y is equal to 2. Wow. Okay, so we have a little misconception here, right? Now, let's see if we can find that mirror line. Now, we know the mirror line has to be somewhere in the middle here. Somewhere. We don't know exactly where as yet. If you want to figure that out, what you can do is to join. Look at this here. I'm going to join C to C prime. You can do it for B and B prime if you want. And that is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units. So all I need to do is to figure out where is the middle of that. So the middle of that is going to be this line here. Right? And that line passes through this point here, 2. Now remember, this is your x-axis. So therefore that 2 really means x is equal to 2. So therefore the equation of the mirror line is x is equal to 2. So something you all need to remember. Anytime you have a vertical line, the equation is going to be x equal to something. If you have a horizontal line, the equation is going to be y is equal to something. Right? So be careful. Careful. Alright, let's look at this one here. So I have a triangle ABC, and triangle ABC undergoes a reflection in the line y is equal to 2. Draw this triangle. So I have a triangle ABC, and you have y is equal to 2. Now y is equal to 2 is a horizontal line. So this line here is actually a horizontal line. Right? That is what that is. So y is equal to 2 is this line here. So some of you all might be wondering, well, how are we going to do this reflection now? So this works exactly like a mirror. So let's start with the point C. The point C is 1 unit in front or above the mirror line. So therefore C prime has to be 1 unit behind the mirror line. So therefore this here is going to be C prime. We're going to do the same thing for B. B, we need to check to see how far B is in front of the mirror line. It's 1, 2, 3 units here. So I need to go 3 units behind the mirror line. 1, 2, 3 units here. So therefore this here is going to be B prime. You do the same thing for A. A is 1, 2, 3 units in front of the mirror. So we need to come 1, 2, 3 units behind the mirror. So therefore my my triangle, so therefore this here is A prime, right? So we're going to draw this to this, this to this, and this to this. So that's my image. So you could be asked to draw the image, right, from a diagram like this, right? Next one. So I have 2 triangles here. I have A, B, C, and I have A prime, B prime, C prime. And the question here is describe the transformation that maps ABC to A prime, B prime, C prime. Let me see if you all can get this. In the exam, they could give you up to 4 marks for this, to describe this transformation. Because there are certain things they're looking for. Let me see what you all can say. So don't just tell me rotation. There are several things that you must say if you think it's a rotation. So I've seen some people saying rotation, some people saying translation. I saw somebody say enlargement. So here's how you guys can know if it's a translation, the orientation stays the same. It doesn't change, right? If it's an enlargement, it's very easy to figure out if it's an enlargement. It's going to be either larger or it's going to be smaller, right? But if you notice something here, the triangle, the orientation has changed. So if the orientation has changed, it has to be a rotation, right? It has to be a rotation. So let me see what you all gonna, what you need to say. Let me tell you what you need to say to get the marks, right? So one, we need to say it's a rotation, right? Now, when you're saying a rotation, you need to say what, or you need to say rotation about the point. So when you're rotating something, you're rotating about a point. If I look at this point here, and CXC likes to use the origin, it may not be that, but look at this. If I draw a line from O to A and from O to this, what's happening here? I'm actually rotating this entire triangle this way, and I'm rotating by 90 degrees. So you're rotating about the point 0, 0. So this is how CXC would normally mark this, right? One mark for saying rotation, one mark for saying about the point 0, 0. We need to specify whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise. In this case here, it's anti-clockwise. Right? And we need to specify, so again, one mark for this. And we need to specify the angle. We're going to say 90 degrees. It's 90 degrees anti-clockwise. So this question could potentially be 4 marks in the exam, right? I mean, it could be less, but in the past, that's what they did, right? That's what they did in the past. Alright guys, cool. Next question now. We have a diagram here. We have two triangles, and they want us to describe the transformation as fully as you can. What kind of transformation is this? Right, so somebody's asking about glide. Glide is not on your syllabus, so we don't. There are 4 of them we need to know, and the 4 that we need to know for the exam is translation, reflection, rotation, and we need to know enlargement. There are 4 of them that we need to know for the exam. Right, so lots of people saying enlargement, and that's partially correct because we need to say some other things as well. Right, we need to say some other things. Now, how do we know it's an enlargement? Those two triangles are what we call similar triangles. The angles inside of the triangle, they're all the same, right? The angles are all the same. However, the lengths are different. So here's what we're going to say. So we must say it's an enlargement. You get a mark for that, right? Of scale factor. We need to say what the scale factor is. How large are we increasing this thing? Scale factor K, right? And we need to know what that K is. If you all are given a diagram like this, just choose a side. So if I choose AC, that length here is 4 units. Sorry, that's A prime, C prime. If I choose AC, that length there is 2 units. So my K is going to be your image, which is 4 divided by 2. And I'm going to get a scale factor of 2. So this is going to be 2 here. I could have choose any length I wanted. If I chose this length here, right, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this length is 6. And this length here is 3. So therefore, K is also 6 over 3. And you're going to get 2 again, right? I won't use the slanted side because you can't measure the length on the slanted side. So I won't do that. So I'm specifying the scale factor. There's something else I need to say as well. When you perform an enlargement, there's something called a center of enlargement, right? There's something called a center of enlargement. And to figure that out, all you guys need to do is to use your ruler, right? And you're going to draw some lines. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw a line from B prime to B. Right? Because in the exam, they can ask you to find what is your center of enlargement, and that's very easy to find. So I'm going to join, let's say, A to A prime. right? Let me see how these points look in here. All right, I think this point a little off. Right, so if you notice something here, right, all those lines, they pass through this point here. Right, all these lines here, they pass through this point, and they're passing through -1, 1, right? So this point here is what we call my center of enlargement. Right? So we're going to say it's an enlargement of scale factor 2 with center of enlargement right? And you need to specify a coordinate, which is -1, 1. Right? Now, I can't show you every single thing that that can potentially come in the exam tonight, right? So if you all are wondering, yes, I do give online classes, right, guys? I do give online classes. So my Form 5 class is more than ready for the exam, right? So this is my number here, and this is, I give online classes only, right? For students throughout the Caribbean, right? Now, something else that CXC says that you're going to get in the exam, you're going to get graphs, right? You're going to get graphs, and you could be asked to draw a graph. If you are getting a graph, it could be a straight line, it could be a quadratic, right? It could be the question pertaining to linear programming, right? We're not sure, but you're going to get to draw a graph in the exam. So here's this question here. I have a function, and this function is f of x is equal to x squared plus x minus 2. And the question says, copy and complete this table, right? Now, some students have difficulty completing this. And if CXC gives you this in the exam, they're only going to give you 2 marks. So you know what the function is. So f of x is equal to x squared plus x minus 2. And I want to work out f of minus 2. Can you all work that out for me? F of minus 2. Let me see what you all get. Right, so lots of people get in 0. Let's see if that's correct. So we're going to plug in minus 2 into this equation. So minus 2 squared plus minus 2 minus 2. So minus 2 squared is going to give me positive 4 minus 2 minus 2. And when I work this out, I am getting 0. Yeah, so you all are correct. The answer here is going to be 0. What about this one? What is f of 0? Alright, I'm seeing you are getting minus 2. Let's see if that's correct. Let's see if that's correct. So f of 0, I'm going to plug 0 into this thing here. So that's going to be 0 squared plus 0 minus 2. So 0 squared is 0 plus 0 minus 2 is going to give me minus 2. So you all are correct. This is minus 2. What about the last one? What is f of 2? Yes, guys, the video will be up. Don't worry. It'll be here. Right, so lots of people getting 4. Let's see if that's correct. So f of 2, right, is going to be 2 squared plus 2 minus 2. Right, so 2 2s are 4 plus 2 minus 2, and you're going to get 4. Right, so yes, you all are correct. The answer is 4. Right, so you can be given something like this in the exam. To complete a table, all we're doing is substituting. The next thing now, they can come and say, hey, what? Draw the graph, right? Draw the graph. Now, sometimes, so they said draw the graph f of x, and you notice they gave us something here. This here is what they call my domain. So if you all never heard that word, it's called my domain. Now, if you notice, it's going from -3 to 2. Where did that come from? That comes straight from the table. You're going from -3 to 2. That's it. That's the interval that we're playing with, right? So we're going to draw a graph based on that data, right? So, one sec. Right, so I need to look at the data while I'm plotting it, right? So what we could be asked is to draw a graph, right, which is a quadratic. So I'm going to plot all these points here. So we're going to start with my first point, -3 4. So -3 4, that's this point here. Next point is -2 0. -2 0 is going to be here. Next point is -1 -2. That's down here. Next point is 0 -2. 0 -2 is here. Next point is 1 0. 1 0 is here. And the next point is 2 4. So 2 4 is up here, right? So I have the points here. One of the mistakes that students make, they draw this graph, but what they do, they tend to join the points using a ruler. Do not do that, right? Do not do that in the exam, please. Right? So I'm going to try to draw a kind of smoothish curve here. Right? So that's my curve. That's my curve f of x. Right? Simple. All we did was plot the points. That's all I did. The next part, right? On the graph, you're going to draw another graph, which is g of x is equal to x minus 1. So some of you all might be thinking, well, how are we doing that? You want to draw the graph g of x is equal to x minus 1. Now, that there is a straight line, right? To draw a straight line, we need to have 2 points in order to draw a straight line. So all we need to do, we need to draw up a table. We need to draw up a table with x and g of x, right? And we're going to choose values of x within my interval here, right? So I might say, let's say, what can I use? Maybe, let's see, I'm trying to figure out which one might be the best one to use. If I use -1, right, I could use -1 maybe. And if I use, let's say 2, yeah, I could use 2, right? So what I want from you all, I want you all to work out g of -1. What is g of -1? Work out g of -1 for me. All right, so I've seen people getting -2. Let's see if that's correct. So all you guys need to do, g of x is equal to x minus 1. So g of -1, right, is going to be -1 minus 1, and that's going to give you -2. So therefore, this answer here is going to be -2. What I want from you all now, I want you to work out g of 2. Right, I've seen some people getting 1 as the answer. Let's see if that's correct. Right, I see lots of people getting 1. So g of 2, right, remember this is your function here. So it's going to be 2 minus 1, and that's going to give you 1. Right, so you're going to get 1. So lots of people got 1 as the answer. That's correct. Right, so I want to draw this graph. Right, so therefore I'm going to plot this point, which is going to be, now let me use a different color here so you see clearly what I'm doing. Right, so I'm going to plot -1, -2. -1, -2 is down here. Right, that's where that point is. The next point I'm going to plot here is 2, 1. So 2, 1 is going to be here. Right, so if this comes in the exam, what you're going to do, you're going to draw a straight line passing through those 2 points. Right, that's what you're going to do. Right? So I'm going to draw a straight line passing through this point and this point here. Right? That's what I'm doing. So therefore, this function here, right, this function is g of x. So I've drawn a curve and I've drawn a straight line on the same graph. Right? That's what they wanted me to do in this particular question. Yeah, so some students are asking if we only need 2 points. Yeah, when you're drawing a straight line, you just need 2 points, right? But we're moving under the assumption that you didn't make a mistake, eh? Because there are some students who choose 2 points, and if one of the points are off, then they draw the wrong graph, right? So that's my graph here. Now here's what the question is asking now, the last part of the question. Last part of the question says, using your graphs, solve this equation, right? So we're trying to solve, so let me show you what we're trying to solve. We're trying to solve x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to x minus 1. That's what we're trying to solve. Anybody want to tell me what the answer is for that? What is the solution to that equation? Alright, so here's what we're going to do for this. All we need to do when you want to solve this particular equation here, right? If you notice here on this side here, that is f of x. That's the quadratic. On this side here, that is g of x, and that's the straight line. So when they ask you to solve a question like that, what they're doing is trying to find out, here what? Where do these two things intersect? That's here and here, right? This point here is -1, -2. and this point here is 1, 0. But when they ask me to solve this here, all they are concerned about are the x values. So some students, what they do, they give the coordinates of the 2 points of intersection. You don't have to do that. What you're looking for are the 2x values. And the 2x values in this case here will be -1 and 1. That's the answer. So to solve this, your answer will be x is equal to -1 and x is equal to +1, right? X is equal to +1, right? So guys, I know you all wish I can do this whole night, right? Unfortunately, I cannot do this whole night, right? So thanks for showing up, guys. I hope I was able to give you some information, right? A lot of the topics some of you all are asking about, you all can find them on my YouTube channel. So things like linear programming, I went through step by step how to perform linear programming. The last live I did an actual linear programming past paper question, right? Some of you all were asking about measurement. I have a whole video where I did tons of past papers pertaining to measurement, right? Even vectors, same thing for vectors, right? So guys, all I want from you all, just hit like, hit subscribe, right? And yes, I do give online classes for both Form 4s and Form 5s in maths, add maths, chemistry, and physics, right? Good luck, everybody. When you're doing the paper 2, please read your questions carefully. There are 10 questions on the paper, right? Look at every single question. Do the questions that you can actually answer. Don't start with the difficult questions. Do the questions that you can answer, right? You want to try to get as much marks in that paper 2 as possible. In the case of the paper 1, well, we know what's going to happen there. Tons of questions going to repeat, right? So please practice some of your multiple choice papers, right? Obviously, I can't do any of that here. I normally do that in my classes, right? So guys, I hope you enjoyed. So like I said, hit like and subscribe, and good luck tomorrow, guys, right? You all will get through, right? So good luck, guys. Take care. Right, and those of you who don't know, yes, I am Terry. I am Terry David, right? So some of you are asking my name. And yes, I've been doing online videos since 2013, a very, very long time ago, right?